Yeah, welcome to this video. Yeah, at the moment there's more than one interesting tournament going on. I think the maybe most interesting one is the World Junior Championships. It's always interesting to look at the young players, but the highest profile tournament certainly at the moment is the Russian Championships, which is obviously the strongest national championships in the world, and it's got almost all Russian top players. I think Kramnik and Morozevich are missing, but otherwise they're all there. It's played immediately before the Chess Olympiad, which is will be starting in 2 weeks, and I don't know, maybe this is one reason why this tournament has seen so many draws. It's rather dull affair, I must admit. Before the last round, which is played just at the moment today, there are 6 players leading with +1. So 1 win, rest draws, or 2 wins and 1 loss. Yeah, there haven't been so many interesting games, but yesterday there was a very sharp battle between the defending champion Grandmaster Peter Svidler from St. Petersburg and Grandmaster Nikita Vitiugov. I'm not quite sure. I think he's from Moscow, but not 100% sure. Vitiugov is not so well known, maybe. He's one of the better or the best young Russian GMs, already above 2,700. Of course, Svidler doesn't need any introduction. He's a 6-time Russian champion. I'm not sure if this is the record, or if maybe, I don't know, Botvinnik won 7 times or something. But if it isn't a record, it's close to it. Yeah, let's check out this game. A very interesting battle. Svidler playing e4, as he usually does. And Vitiugov responds e6. He's a regular French player, Vitiugov. He even published a book on the French defense, and which is quite nice, actually. There are 2 books even. He published one about 2 years ago, and there has been a second edition of this, which is really nicely improved. Alright, so the French it is, and Svidler, usually, this was a bit quick, usually plays knight c3 at this point, which is arguably the main move. He even did that 1 round before against Potkin, but didn't really get so much. And in this game he decided to play e5, the advanced variation. Maybe slight surprise to Vitiugov. I don't think Svidler is playing that usually. But Svidler is known to be a good friend of Alexander Grishuk's. And Grishuk is maybe the world's leading expert on the advance. So maybe they did some analyzing work or similar together. So, okay, we got the normal kind of move, c5, c3. And Vitiugov now plays queen b6, which can have independent significance if Black would play now bishop to d7 with this kind of idea. But he didn't go for this. He just played knight c6. And, oops, I'm somewhat too quick here. He just played knight c6, transposing to the main variation of the advanced French. There's also a similar position where Black, instead of queen b6, plays bishop d7, which is the other main line. Svidler now plays a3, which is the main line by far nowadays. Alternatives are bishop e2 or the old move bishop d3, but bishop d3 is usually connected with the pawn sacrifice, this kind of stuff, which nowadays is considered to be simply close to incorrect. Black can just take the pawn and doesn't have so many problems. So bishop d3 is pretty much out of the picture nowadays on top level. Bishop e2 is possible, but this gives Black somewhat better counterplay than a3. So a3 is the main move. Yeah, here Black has a number of options. He can go for this completely closed approach, closing the queen side and playing with moves like knight a5 and trying to prepare such a maneuver, bishop d7, a4. Of course, at the moment this bishop would be hanging, but you can prepare all this. So this would be a very long maneuvering battle. But of course, the c4 move doesn't really put any pressure on the center. So it's not a move that I'd like to play. Must admit, I'd like more to put pressure on the center. Maybe the main move nowadays is knight to h6. And what Vitiugov plays is rather similar. Knight to h6 can continue in this fashion. b4 takes, knight f5. This is maybe the main line. Vitiugov plays knight g to e7, which has the same idea, possibly, but it avoids any kinds of captures on h6, which is an option for white. So knight e7 is interesting, but it has a drawback, which Svidler immediately tries to exploit. If he would play b4, we would most likely get a simple transposition. But Svidler played something else. He took on c5, which must be the natural drawback of knight e7, because now this knight obstructs the bishop. It cannot take. And yeah, if black would retake now on c5, then I think white should get a nice position. It doesn't make so much sense to put the queen out so early. The queen is not very well positioned on c5, as it doesn't put any pressure on e5. And this is maybe slightly better for white. If you look at this, protecting e5. And then white maybe even can think about a quick advance of the h-pawn. It's simply that there's not enough pressure on e5 here. So Vitiugov had a different idea. He just played queen c7, which I like, attacking e5. And Svidler protected now this pawn with bishop b5, using the spin of the knight. With a move like bishop f4, black can play knight g6, attacking the bishop and also attacking this pawn. And yeah, this is already a bit uncomfortable for white. It's not like he's worse, but black is certainly okay here. He's got the bishop now nicely positioned, and e5 is a pawn which you can really put pressure on. It's much better to have the bishop here than the queen. So this is why bishop b5 was played. Yeah, now just bishop d7, attacking the e5 pawn again, and Svidler protects it with the queen. And now f6, which is a very sharp move, but yeah, of course, very much in spirit of the position. Black has sacrificed this pawn here on c5, but he's trying to go for central dominance, and so you can see it quickly leads to a really complicated position. Black had an alternative. He could have played just simply knight g6, attacking this pawn again. And I don't think white should have any big advantage. For instance, if white now covers this pawn, black can take here, and I don't think he should have any big problems. Okay, but he played f6, which is much sharper. Yeah, white doesn't have much alternatives. He captured on f6, cannot keep the pawn there. G takes f, and now white played knight b to d2, developing this piece. Here it was also possible to just castle, but it's understandable that castles is a move that you want to think twice about. Black is very ready to use the g-file with rook g8. Of course he will castle long, probably now. Let's just castle long. And yeah, black has ideas. Rook g8, e5, bishop g4. I think black has a nice active position here. I really like it. I'm not quite sure. I think all in all, this idea with f6 It's very sharp, but also a promising idea for black. It looks like you get active play. So in the game he has decided to postpone castling and play a knight bd2, which has the possible idea to play knight b3 at some point to cover c5. Yeah, black now went before long castles, and white played c4, which was also of course an idea of knight bd2. So he attacks the center, and black simply plays rook g8, attacking the pawn. Yeah, and now we've got this this issue again. Do you want to castle into this, or what else to play? The pawn is just hanging. You cannot really allow black to take it. And if you look at this, castles and e5, then black is immediately ready to play bishop h3. Let's say something like this here, covering this pawn at least. And then here you even need to play a move like knight e1. And I think black has a nice active position. Nothing much to complain about. Of course you sacrifice the pawn, but it's very active. So castles was certainly a difficult decision to make. He played g3, covering the g-pawn this way, and black now played e5. So advancing in the center and getting this bishop out, which can play a big role on h3 also. So here on h3 or on g4, all the light squares are weakened, and you will see in the game that this is really the main point here. Okay, so white now captured on d5. Knight takes, and knight to b3. Just quickly, if white would try to protect the c5 pawn with b4, then black immediately wins with this knight move. And yeah, what should white do? We get something along these lines. And now you see that the light squares are a huge problem. Knight c2 is threatened, and this kind of stuff gets very ugly very quickly. And black is completely tied down. White is white, of course. White is completely tied down here. Yeah, this is not playable at all, this b form. So he covered this with the knight. Yeah, and black played the logical move bishop to g4, setting up this pin. And Svidler, of course, immediately wants to escape this pin. It is a very annoying feature of the position, this pin. Black might even play e4 at some point, provoking white to take with the queen, and then rook e8 at the proper moment. So it's a very unfortunate configuration here with queen and king on the e-file and this pin. So Svidler tries to use a tactical trick to get rid of this. He plays queen to c2. The idea being, if black now captures on f3, check, then you've got this check here and win back the bishop. Black could have played this, wouldn't have been bad. Something like this, and now maybe this move probably leads to, yeah, around equal position. But in this position here, after Svidler's tricky queen c2, black has a much better move, which he played. This is a very strong move, knight f4. Yeah, and what is this move doing? It is yeah, breaking the connection between the f3 and the f5 square. So if white would take the knight now, then black simply captures on f3, and this check here on f5 now is really nothing much. In this position now, the rook h1 is hanging, and black is threatening also rook d1 checkmate. So white can actually resign here. Yeah, taking the knight just loses the game. The same applies for this kind of stuff, where rook and bishop is hanging. So a very nice move, which white cannot take. And okay, if you cannot take this piece, it's obviously quite annoying. So what should white do? The knight is hanging now on f3, and you need to move it. You have no real way to cover it. So okay, let's say you can cover it. Svidler played knight b2 d2. But what are alternatives? Let's say white would move it away. Then
check.
You need to deal with this kind of stuff. Check here, threatening huge discoveries, and you need to play then this move. And well, black for a pawn has got enormous compensation. White's pieces are completely, are awfully placed. And I think it should be close to winning for black. Alright, so what should white do? This knight is hanging. He played knight bd2. And in this position, black has a very strong move, which he found. Black played a really great game here. He captured on d2. And this now is very strong. What should white do? Of course, you need to recapture, but also the knight is hanging. He needs to play knight takes d2. Svidler did this. So, but let's check quickly what else is possible. Simple is this move. Then black simply takes the knight off. Rook is hanging. Knight d4 is threatening. So this is very easy. You cannot take there, and the same applies for this. It's pretty much the same. And well, okay, you can king d2, I think is it's all the same. White needs to take with the knight, which he did. And then the idea behind this exchange sack is revealed. Black has got knight d4 with a tempo. And now you see black has got two knights on d4 and f4. The bishop and, well, white's king looks really, really ugly in a crossfire of black's pieces. So it's obviously very, very dangerous for white. White played queen to a4. Yeah, and in this position, black has a number of good possibilities. There was one very strong possibility which he overlooked, but which is completely understandable. He played bishop takes c5, which is okay. It's not spoiling much. Black still is better after this move, but he had a very strong possibility.
Check.
Giving this check here. He certainly considered this. I mean, this is the first move you look at, giving a check. But the point is king f1 and bishop to h3. Now this all kinds of discoveries are threatened. But the discoveries are just a check at the moment. I think the point that he missed here is the following. Let's say b4, knight e3 check, king g1, and now black has an amazing move, queen to c6. Yeah, and this is a move that you really should let sink in for a while. It's really great, just threatening a direct checkmate on g2. And if white captures c6,
checkmate.
We've got this very beautiful checkmate of delivered by the minor pieces. It's even this bishop is even superfluous for this mate. The two knights also would deliver mate on their own. So black can afford to offer the queen here, and it's even nicer. f3. Black's got the very strong move. I'm sorry, knight g4, and threatening
checkmate.
Another mate again. So what should white do? It's really, really nice. You it really cannot do much. If he takes, for instance, then there's this move coming, threatening another mate. And yeah, this is actually the end of the game. White can only only take the queen now and allow mate, or play something like this here.
Checkmate.
And this is a crossfire mate of the bishops. Yeah, very nice. But okay, he certainly missed this queen c6 idea. It's very understandable with not so much time on the clock. But what he played is perfectly okay. It's just not so forceful. He took on c5, and this is certainly the human move to play. He gets this piece into play, and the thing is, it's no big deal if white takes the knight. He did this. Understandably, you need to have some material for your suffering, and alternatives didn't really help much. He took on f4 white, and black recaptured. So it's a complete rook sacrifice now. But of course, black has those huge threats here: queen e5 check, or queen e7 check, checks on the e-file, and then white's king will be mated. This is why white needs to attend to this, and he played knight e4. Of course, it's not a move you love to make, because it allows a piece again to enter on f3. In fact, this is what black played. He played knight to f3 check, and here he had a rather simple win. I'm not quite sure why he didn't play it. I think this is really relatively easy to find. He could have played queen e7, attacking the knight, and if white retreats the bishop here to cover the knight, you can just attack it with f5, and black is relatively easy winning. You just get this knight back on e4, and then it's just a deadly attack for an exchange. Not quite sure. I think this was rather easy to find. Not quite sure what he didn't like about this. Yeah, hard to tell. This was winning, but it's good that he didn't do it, really, because we see some really nice lines later. So he went for this check, knight f3 check, and white played king f1. Yeah, there wasn't really much else. King d1, for example, just gets answered with rook d8, and where would you go? Something like king c2, and lines like these are not much fun as well. White simply will lose decisive material or get mated. So he needed to go to f1. Yeah, now black gave this check here. King e2 only move, knight d4 back, and king e1. And yeah, in this position, it's rather similar to the position before. Here, again, queen e7 would have won. It's basically the same position as before. Now the bishop is on h3 instead of g4, but it's still winning. But he didn't do this. Somehow this idea, yeah, he didn't really had in mind. He played bishop g2, which doesn't look bad at all. Certainly need to look at the clock times. Svidler had 13 minutes left, and here he spent, black spent the last couple of minutes to play this move, and he was down to, yeah, the clock here on ICC tells 27 seconds, but need to be a bit skeptical if this is really correct. But he was certainly very low on time. But bishop g2 allows white to probably escape, but it's super difficult. Svidler played queen c4, attacking the rook and the bishop. here, most likely, I say most likely because I didn't do hours of analysis, but this move probably draws, taking on c5, check. And it looks terrible for white, but probably this this might lead to a draw. At least I didn't find anything, and of course assisted by an engine. It should lead to a draw at the end. Check. Funny enough, check. If you look at this, white can even advance here, check. and even survive this kind of stuff. Check. Of course, for a human, it's nothing you'd like to do. Check. 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 Yeah, and check. It's a draw by perpetual check. So knight takes c5 probably draws, but yeah, a very tough decision. And queen c4 looks pretty natural as well. Yeah, Vitiugov now played rook to d8, and this is a strong move, really. A very neat line now happens if white would take with the queen. Then black just takes. Check. Check. And now very checkmate. Nice f3 with the pawn. It's a checkmate. It's a very cool mating configuration where the rook takes all the squares on the d file, the knight the ones on the e file, and the bishop and pawn are responsible for the last squares here. So all pieces are involved in the mate. It's very nice. So white couldn't take on c5 with the queen, and so what should white do? It's of course a terrible position to face. He decided to take on c5, and here black decided to go for knight f3 check. He was very down on time, but he gained a couple of seconds here. I guess they play with increment. Knight f3 check, and now I can show you how the game ended. Really, it's knight f3 check, king e2 check again, king e1 check, knight f3 check, and they agreed to a draw. Just repeating moves, but now here comes the catch. Black in this position, while knight f3 was the draw, could play check. Queen a5 check, and not sure what he missed about this move, because it's not really so difficult. Because I think you need to see one thing here, and this is the following: b4, queen takes b5, queen takes b5, check, check, checkmate. And it's this mate again, which we saw before, and he certainly saw this motif because he played this rook d8 move here earlier, this rook d8. Oops. Yeah, I have a slight delay here in the animation, I'm not sure. This mate, I showed this before. Check, checkmate. It's basically the same, and with rook d8 he sort of signals that he saw this, but funny enough, check. Here this check. Queen a5, it's basically the same idea, and white simply has the queen attacked, and he has no way to go. If you move it, let's say here, it's just a simple mate, and what else is there? You can move it here because the knight protects the queen, but then it's this simply, and the queen gets lost, and black is winning really easily. So queen a5 would have won the game, because what else is there? I mean, this is This is just the same as before.
Check.
It's the same mate.
Checkmate.
Yeah, it's always the same kind of idea. So queen a5 was winning, and as mentioned, he played this.
Check.
And now comes the catch. They repeated this position 3 times, and then it was a draw. Here, white 2 times had the possibility, but this is, of course, completely insane. Had the possibility to play king d1, and this actually seems to draw the game. It's of course a completely insane decision to play king d1, but this is simply what happens if you analyze these games with computers. They sometimes show you resources which you simply wouldn't think of in the game. So it's nothing to blame white for, that he didn't took the chance to escape with king d1. Yeah, it's funny. The possibly best line for black is supposed to be bishop to d5, and of course there are many other possibilities, and then bishop takes f4, with the idea being queen takes and check. And oh well, this is just insane. No sane person would think about this line. And here white is even in exchange up, but his king is under so much pressure that he needs to return some material, and it will end in a pretty drawish position. But of course, this is simply inhuman to play king d1. Yeah, but I think for black, that he didn't see queen a5 3 times is a bit weird, because he really saw the idea, obviously, with this mate, but not quite sure. I just want to show it quickly again. Here, this queen a5 idea, I'm not sure. This is relatively simple. Yeah, and yeah, this was one of the draws in this championships. Obviously one of the more exciting draws. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. It's a pretty interesting game, and also maybe an idea for black players to play the French defense, to look at this knight g7 idea. It seems that possibly white doesn't have much else to play b4 in this position, to transpose into the normal lines, but you avoid all this bishop takes h6 business. And this is what Svidler played in the game. Seems to lead to interesting play for black, and this kind of position with e5 certainly very attractive for black. Get nice active possibilities against white's king. Yeah, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Let's talk soon with new videos.